Welcome to Women's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we promote shattering glass ceilings and smashing the Pintriarchy with grace from Liquid Light. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. So today we have the lovely Grace from Liquid Light with us. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Joining us. Could you tell us a bit about who you are, where you come from, why are you here with us today?
Fab. Okay, so I am Grace. I'm from Nottingham in the East Midlands, and I am one of the co-founders of Liquid Light Brewing Company. So I got into homebrewing a few years ago, and myself and my partner Tom decided to start Liquid Light, and we're here now.
Yay!
That's fab. I see you've got a drink on the go, so we should crack our drinks, I think, before we ask you. We've got a whole bunch of questions to ask you. I think it's worth cracking our drink. So we've got the Day Tripper Pale Ale. So that's what we're going to have. Do you want to tell us a bit about sort of the pale ale, just to know what it is that we should be looking for and all that?
Yeah, cool. Basically, when we started the brewery, we always wanted to. It was kind of came out of a love of session beers, basically. We used to go down the pub and we want to be able to drink some decent session beers, and we've always wanted to produce beers that you could have a pint of. So when we first started, we had Less Dangerous, which was a New England IPA that we brewed, which was 4.5%, so a New England pale, and that was really popular. And then I think we struggled to get the hops at one point for it, because when we were so small, we couldn't get a hop contract, and that's where Day Tripper was born. We could find Amarillo and we could find Motueka, so we thought, okay, let's use what we've learned and let's put it in a pale, and it took off. Like Day Tripper, 4.3% pale ale, just absolutely took off, and it's now we don't have any, we have a tank full of it all the time, because whenever a batch comes out, it's gone again. It's one of those pale ales. It's really versatile. So we do a lot of it in cask, but we also can some, and we also it's available in keg as well. And so it's just that versatility as well with a style that we always as well. We're really passionate about, fulfilling that cask side, fulfilling that craft side as well, and having something that just everyone can enjoy, which I think this is. So hopefully you enjoy it.
Oh, it smells
I was just gonna say, I just took a sip, and I just had one sip so far, and I can definitely see sessionability in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the idea behind it. It's something that everyone can drink. You could have a pint of it. Equally, it's punchy enough that if, say, you were to order a half of it in a bar, hopefully it's quite a memorable drink. So you'd go, oh yeah, I had a half of that, and that I really enjoyed it. That was the desire behind this beer, was to just create something really drinkable.
Yeah, I think you have successfully achieved that.
Yeah, I was going to say, very, very full of flavour for sure. And like Jo said, the aroma is lovely.
Yeah, very sort of like orange mandarin kind of things I get from it with Amarillo and Motueka.
Yeah, very fresh.
Yeah,
I think. And there's that lovely crispness to it as well, which I feel like makes it go really well with bar snacks. I always find the crisper the beer, the better it goes with bar snacks.
Yeah, it goes with your bar snacks.
Definitely.
Many a night has been spent at the pub doing lots of research on bar snacks and drinkability.
I feels like it's research.
Oh yeah, that feels like one of the best jobs to have, really. Yeah. But yeah, so I know obviously so I've seen sort of a bit about your brewery and how music was quite a big influence to you, and obviously you can tell kind of it's called Day Tripper. That's a song name, and obviously did you want to sort of explain what the name behind the brewery is, because I know some people might not know what that is in terms of music.
Yeah, of course. So myself and my partner Tom, we've always been, music and beer has always been our two big loves. And when we started the brewery, it honestly wouldn't have felt right for it to not be included in some way. So one day we were watching a Pink Floyd documentary, and it was footage of Pink Floyd at the UFO Club in London in, I think something like 1969. And behind Pink Floyd on stage were these liquid light projections, which are, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically oils and dyes in water make the effect, as petrol does when you see it on the road when it's rained, make this amazing effect when everything interacts. And liquid light, the art form, is kind of the discovery, and it's very spontaneous, so you can never predict. It's the art form of just like trial and error, putting different oils in, different dyes in, and basically just seeing what comes out. Every time you're going to get something amazing. That's the joy of it. Every time we do liquid light of an evening, because we actually do all the artwork ourselves. Amazing. So we'll sit down and we will put all these oils in water and project them and take photos, and that's the basis of the can artwork. So when we saw these projections behind Pink Floyd, we were like, well, this is an art form that has hysterically paired music and art. And obviously with that scene as well goes, the going out, the drinking, that kind of thing. So it just felt right to sort of pair all those three things together, and that we were like, Liquid Light Brewing Company. Oh yeah, that kind of sounds all right. Like, and then
got a ring to it.
The more we thought about it, we were like, yeah, actually, like that could be a goer. That could be all right. So that's kind of the idea behind it. All of the beer names and all of our artwork is taken as reference to their songs. We also have references. We often just use lyrics as well. So we have Less Dangerous is from Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, which is one of Tom's favourite bands. We have a lot of Frank Zappa references because we are mad Frank Zappa fans. And we had to name a few beers after our all-time favourite band, which is Black Sabbath as well.
Nice. No, that, and I didn't realise that you guys actually made the artwork for yourselves by doing that process. Like I assumed you probably sort of did the labels yourself, but I didn't realise that you had done it via that process. That is so interesting. Yeah. That is really, really interesting. And
interesting as well when we started homebrewing, because the nature of homebrewing is that very sort of hands-on process. It's that very practical process, and to find an art form that also paired that, it felt very DIY and it felt very hands-on. I mean, sometimes we put things like fairy liquid and things like that in bubbles, and it just feels very ad hoc, and it feels like, oh, let's put a bit of this in, let's put a bit of that in, and it feels like when we first started homebrewing, that's the kind of approach that we used,
Yeah.
But then we have we take pictures of all the artwork, and then we send it to one of my best friends who's an amazing graphic designer, and she actually then puts the font onto them and makes it kind of the final file that you see. So she'll just sort of adjust the colors slightly, and just make sure that it all works as a final piece.
And that is so cool to know that. And I was thinking as well, like when you were describing the process of the liquid light artworks and stuff, how it is very much trial and error. You never really get like the same thing twice, and I feel like that relates so much to brew and beer as well, because you can brew the same beer back to back, and you can make little tweaks to it, or you could do the same exact thing, and for whatever reason, depending on the ingredients, it could come out slightly different than what it normally comes out as. So it feels like it works like sort of twofold in that sense. So that is a really brilliant name all around.
Yeah, they're very relatable processes.
Yeah. Love it. So you started up this brewery together. What were the challenges for starting this brewery? And you've not very long, your tap room's been open, has it?
It's not, no. So we started in 2017. In the autumn of 2017, we literally started in our shed. So we had initially we had a 60-litre homebrew setup, which was a 3-vessel system, which we actually converted old cooking pots into brewing vessels. So it was like super DIY, super legit.
Yeah.
So we started home brewing 60 litres at a time, which for us at the time was, I mean, it's 2 kegs of beer. You know, if you turn up to a friend's party with 2 kegs of beer, like you're everyone's friend.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
you're the best.
Definitely.
You get invited back.
Yeah, it was so much beer for us at the time. And we were just like, wow, this is, you know, we'll never need to, this is crazy. Like, this is so much beer. And then we started hand bottling some, we started giving it to friends, and they were like, this is actually like really good. And you know, what you think, they're just saying that, you know, they're just
yeah,
get free beer. Like,
yeah.
But then we started sort of giving some bottles to pub managers, and they were going, no, actually, like, we think this would go down really well in the pub. And so we were like, oh, okay. So then we upgraded to a 100-litre kit. And again, we just started bottling, and it was going really well. And then we were lucky enough to get the opportunity at Magpie Brewery to cook a brew there. So I think one of the like initial challenges for us was that sort of having someone to give us that opportunity. You know, it was one of the initial challenges, especially when we both had jobs of our own. We both, you know, we didn't have the luxury of having a lot of money to start up. We couldn't just go, right, we're going to do this, we're going to start a brewery. Like, that wasn't how we started. We saved a bit of money, and we went, okay, let's try doing a 900-litre batch and just see how it goes and see if anyone wants to buy it. So I think initially, first challenge for us was definitely money, because we you know, scrabbled together some savings, and that's what we did. Then moving from, I think one of our other initial challenges was moving from 100 litres to 900 litres is a very different kettle.
Yeah, that's a big step.
We were lucky in that Tom used to work for a brewery in Nottingham called Totally Brewed, which are a brilliant real ale brewery, and they do some amazing sort of craft IPAs and pale ales as well, just excellent. So we were lucky that he'd had the experience there of doing that. But when you're doing it yourself and it's your own money, and you know, you've got that on the line, it's a very different thing. It really is. And the first beer we made was Less Dangerous. So it was a recipe that we'd homebrewed and that we tried. But as you said earlier, you know, the tiniest things can change the process. So we tried it. It turned out well, and we sold it, and it sold very quickly, and we got good feedback from it. And therefore, you know, we could do the next batch and the next batch. But definitely, someone giving us the opportunity to do that, I will be forever grateful for, because if they hadn't have done that, I don't know if we'd be here today.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing. It's turning what your hobby that you're really passionate about into a business is it was a big step for us, definitely.
So I've kind of had like 2 questions off the back end. The first question being, did you know, did you have a good relationship with the people at Magpie beforehand, or did you just happen to meet them perchance before they kind of offered up that space?
Honestly, just met them in the pub one night.
Best place.
So it was when Totally Brewed opened one of their venues. We had sort of a trade night, and it was just kind of a, you know, one of those random things in passing that you go, oh yeah, we've kind of saved a bit of money and we're looking to maybe do this, but we're not sure. And Gavin was just amazing. Gavin and Katrina were just like, yeah, do it. You know, we've got a bit of space in the brewing schedule, like, off you go.
Amazing.
And it was like,
no, we've actually got to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah, that is amazing. Like that's can you imagine if you just were like, oh, I'm not feeling like going to the trade night tonight or anything like that, like just that one small choice. Yeah,
that night, definitely.
I always think like, A, you kind of get back what you put into the universe, and B, like I do feel, I know not everyone believes, but I genuinely do feel like certain things do happen for a reason, because like some stuff is just too coincidental for it to be something that just happened out of the blue. But my other question being, like, when you did that scale up from home brewing to sort of brewing on 900 litres, how different was that batch that you were doing homebrew compared to when you scaled up? Was it relatively the same taste wise, or was there quite a difference? Still good both ways, but
yeah, we managed to, we were really considered about it, and we did manage to get, I think I think if anything, it was slightly improved, because I think that we had access to fresher ingredients. So, you know, obviously when you're home brewing, there's a myriad of amazing websites out there, and to be quite honest, I've not looked recently, but I know that people have told me that you can get, you know, a lot of really fresh hops now at homebrew scale, which is amazing. But I know that we were kind of using not the freshest ingredients, not the freshest, you know, they weren't this year's hops.
Yeah.
They were, and also the malt as well. It might have been things that, because we were brewing on such a small scale, it might have been things that we'd had for a couple of months, you know, and it'd take us that long to get through them because of the scale that we were at. So I think that if anything, it actually benefited from having the access to those fresher ingredients and the malt. And I think it turned out, again, the universe must have aligned somewhere, but I think it actually turned out quite a bit better than the homebrew version.
Nice.
Amazing. And I know you won the Thirsty Games at Indie Beer Con in 2018. Was it with that beer that you won, or was it a completely different beer?
It was with oh my goodness, what did we take? We've had a lockdown since that.
Yeah.
So we
quite a few years back, so it's fair if you don't remember.
I think we had about 6 beers overall. We were lucky enough, we turned up and we were pouring with Yonder and Donzoko, and we just felt like such underdogs. We were like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? Like, these people are insane. Reese from Donzoko continues to be just one of my favorite people on planet Earth. He is just an absolute ray of sunshine. I absolutely love him, and still, like, we're still in contact with him. A few weeks ago, we've just done our first lager at the new site. And he's been like messaging us, being like, hope the lager's gone okay, like, can't wait to try it. And he's just wonderful. But yeah, so I think we took 6 beers in total. I know that one of them was definitely an Impy Stout we did with Emperor's Brewery, which people still talk about to this day. So we must do that again one day. It was a rum raisin imperial stout that we did.
Ooh.
Oh, amazing. That just sounds amazing.
Yeah, we did I know we did a marmalade saison.
Oh, yes.
That sounds amazing as well.
Yeah, that's on my list to definitely revisit, because that was a little gem.
Yeah.
Not returned since. And then also, surprisingly, which we didn't think it would, but Pink Moon, our raspberry wheat beer.
I love Pink Moon.
Absolutely flew that weekend as well.
I don't know if you can see it, but the lighting is never great when it doesn't auto adjust, so it always looks washed out. But probably crack that in a minute.
That was just like an absolutely crazy weekend, because we took a 4% raspberry wheat beer to Indie Beer Con, and we were like, oh no, like, oh my goodness, because obviously that's obviously historically just the most incredible showcase of just utterly stunning beers, and we'd gone as punters every year, and I mean, I'm so sad that it hasn't been on the past couple of years, because it is one of my favorite beer festivals ever. I love it. I absolutely love it. And so to take a 4% raspberry wheat beer, we were like, oh, we don't know how it's going to go down. Like, but everyone loved it. So again, the universe aligned, and we won. So
I'm really excited to drink it now. Were you home brewing still at that point, or were you brewing on like a? So you were still home brewing, and you still managed to win. We just started cuckoo brewing at that point. Yeah, so we'd not long been cuckoo brewing, but we did take some beers that we'd brewed in our shed. The marmalade saison was one of them as well, which I think is when we turned up, we were like, oh, shed beer. I think if anything,
shed beer.
No, I think if anything, that kind of sends a message to people that if you're passionate and you put the time and effort into making something, like, it doesn't matter what scale you're brewing on, like, a good beer is a good beer, and people will recognize that.
Absolutely. So I think as well, it's, you know, as I've said, we don't come from mad amounts of money, so I'm really passionate about people getting into home brewing, that, you know, that if they aren't able to buy, you know, one of these amazing fancy all-in-one vessel systems and things like that, and people come up to me and like, oh, you know, home brewing sounds great, but, you know, it's the money to start up, or it's the money on ingredients, or it's this or it's that, and I'm like, convert some cooking pots, that's right. What we do.
Mine is
You know,
2
anyone can
pots
do
on the stove. That's how I
Absolutely.
homebrew.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the tap room is amazing, by the way. I absolutely love it. I love the layout. How was the journey to setting that up?
It was stressful. So it was amazing but stressful. Setting up a brewery in a pandemic, great choice, Grace. Well done. Honestly, the amount of delays, the amount of extra costs, that would you obviously no one could help it. You know, it's nothing that could be helped, but that, you know, the challenges that have been thrown in there because of the pandemic, we could never have foreseen that at all.
Yeah.
So we were lucky enough that Magpie were happy with us staying. I think we were there 2.5 years in total, so they were just amazing to have us for that long. And we were always waiting for the right space. We kind of knew where we wanted to be in Nottingham. We wanted to be somewhere local to us. And the place that we found in Sneinton is actually literally 10 minutes from our house.
Oh, nice.
Convenient.
So, too convenient. I do spend more time there than I do at home. But no, so we knew kind of where we wanted to be, and a unit came up in so it was the November of 2020. Yeah. Honestly, because of the pandemic.
Right.
Nobody knows time anymore. Like,
nobody knows
honestly.
where we are in the world.
So a unit came up in November 2020, and we were like, look, you know, there's never a good time. This is kind of a really bad time, but hey, why not? Let's do it. We didn't move it because of all the delays and everything. We didn't move in until the March. So that was a good kind of like 5 months that we were, you know, waiting around, getting all the paperwork done. The kit was on order in the November, and it didn't reach us until June.
Oof.
So it was massively delayed. We had massive increased costs because during the time that our kit was being shipped was when the Suez Canal crisis happened.
Oh no.
Yep. So of all the time in all the world,
oh no.
to be then. So that was pretty stressful as well. And the kit arrived 2 days before we opened the tap room.
Oh goodness.
So we, myself and Tom, with the help of Tom's brother, managed to, we hired a forklift and we managed to get it all unloaded and all in place. And then that was on the Wednesday, and then we opened the tap room on the Friday.
Blimey.
Which was, which is crazy. But the tap room is, I know, Joanne, you've obviously been, but
Yep.
The tap room is, for anyone that doesn't know, it's kind of like going to your grandma's living room.
It's great.
Absolutely love that description.
It's amazing.
There's lots of rugs, there's lots of crochet, there's lots of dog ornaments, which are a theme that runs throughout my life. You can see behind me. There's lots of fringing, and yeah, it's just like a cozy. I wanted it to just be like a cozy living room. You know, when we say that the brewery is our second home, it literally is. Like, I want people to feel comfortable to come in, sit down, spend the evening there, and just feel like they're at their, I was going to say friend's house, but it's more like your grandma's.
Grandma's house with great psychedelic colours going on all over the place.
That's it, but that kind of matches like the overall theme, like the name and the label art, and
it's great.
That's
amazing.
Yeah, because I see them every day, but we've got these giant lava lamps that when people come in, they're just like, these are amazing, where did you find these? And it's honestly just me going to car boots.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure someone said to me that you thrifted all of it.
All of it.
Amazing.
Everything is either from a charity shop, from my house, or from a car boot.
Amazing.
I think that's really cool and sustainable. So that's positive.
Yeah.
Because I imagine lava lamps are not. If you try to bin a lava lamp, they are probably not very sustainable.
No, and it was in that weird time as well when the sort of when we signed for the brewery, one of the thoughts that I had was, oh no, all the charity shops are closed. And I was panicking because I was like, am I going to decorate everywhere?
I think that's probably something that you don't necessarily think about, like when you think about opening up a brewery and a tap room, like people, not so much you because you're the business owner, but like other people that are just going to your brewery to like, you know, chill out and see. Like if you're trying to create certain vibes, like it's like when you move into a house, you have to fill that house with furniture, and if you have a bigger house than the house you're currently in, you need more furniture for it. But the people coming over to visit you don't necessarily go, oh, how much furniture did you have to buy since the move-in? You don't think about that, and you wouldn't think about how that's massively impacted the setup. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that from my point of view as well, I've always been quite conscious of a lot of places that I've been to, they feel quite clinical, and they feel, I don't want to say it, but they feel quite like masculine. They feel, you know, there's a lot of masculine energy there. And I wanted it to very much be that kind of bit quirkier, that they kept with who we are as people. I think what's been really nice is that people come into the tap room and they go, oh, we can see this is a labour of love, you know, because no one's going to be putting crochet blankets out if you don't have to. You know, so
I just love that idea.
It represents us as well, which I think, you know, I think is nice.
No, that is really good. How has it been, like the two of you working together, like side by side, especially during pandemic? Like, has it been more or less like not a problem at all? Or?
Yeah, it's been all right. I mean, so when at the start of the pandemic, I still had another job, so I was kind of working two jobs. And, you know, there was the very sort of uncertainty of what was going to happen with that job. You know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of got on with it. You know, we just kind of powered through. And I think like everyone in the pandemic, it was just kind of, you do what you have to do at the time.
Yeah.
So I was taking days off from my other job to go and deliver beer to people's houses in milk bottles and things like that, you know, just to keep it going. And yeah, it's very much, me and Tom are very much yin and yang. We're very like opposite in terms of our skill set, which works really well. Because, you know, he's definitely the more sort of like practical, more creative on like the brewing side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sort of the more kind of practical on the business side, and those kind of things, and the tap room and sort of getting that ready and things. So it works well.
That's amazing. That just like the vibe of the brewery and the vibe of the tap room and how you guys kind of work together. It all just aligns so nicely.
Sorry, we were lucky as well that we so when we opened the tap room as well, we were looking for someone to come on board and help, because obviously with myself and Tom, you know, being in the brewery as well and doing all the production side, like we think we kind of need someone in the tap room. So we found Kelly, who we knew, she'd managed a bar that we did a tap takeover in a few years ago, and I very coy sent her a message one day just on Instagram like, so we might need some help. What do you think to maybe having a chat? And look, about 10 minutes, she sent me a message like, yes. And I was like, ooh. Amazing. So we were lucky to find her. So Kelly is our taproom manager, who helps us out at the weekends, which has been a godsend as well, because it's full on when you're doing everything yourself, definitely.
Yeah, wearing all the hats.
I can imagine, even with two of you, like I feel like there's just not, between two of you, there's not enough arms. Like you just need more arms to just do things.
It's funny because when I speak to my mum in the evening, she's like, oh, so how's today been? Like, what have you been up to? And I'm like, everything.
All of it.
I've done everything. I don't know. I don't even know what I did this morning. But, you know, because days are so versatile, and because, you know, one day I'm a delivery driver, the next day I'm brewing, the next day I'm running the tap room, it's, you know, the next day I'm an accountant, worst days. But it's just everything, and that's that's part of being a small business, but that's also part of the joy of it, because every day is completely varied.
It's gonna be really cool though, delivering beer to people that have ordered your beer, like even if they, especially if they like have no idea that like you're the owner of it, and you just deliver it and they'll be saying to you like, oh, I really like this beer, it's really great and stuff. Like you must get people that tell you how much they really like it when you drop it off to them, and that must be like a really rewarding feeling in and of itself, even if you've had the longest day ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's I know that's one of Tom's favorite jobs for that reason, because you get to turn up to the places, and especially as well when you turn up to a pub and maybe there's punters in there drinking something, and they're like, they see your t-shirt or whatever, and they're like, yeah, Liquid Light, like we love that beer or whatever, or they're like trying to tell the landlord to get it on as soon as possible. And yeah, it's just nice, because at the end of the day, that's why we do it. We do it so that people can sit with their friends and have a nice pint. That's what we're doing it for.
It's one of the best sides of the craft beer community, I think.
Absolutely.
It's that interaction. I mean, I'm really gutted, because when I was up in Nottingham, by the time I got around to going out, your place was closed. So I didn't get a chance to go. We were with somebody else. We were with a friend. Like we went up for a wedding. We went to Nottingham for the night because the wedding wasn't in Nottingham. And then we tried to just kind of make our way around. But unfortunately, we started a bit later in the day, and we had someone else with us. So it was lots of conversations, which was really good. But it just meant that we were drinking slower, having more drinks at each places. And by the time we sort of came round, we were like, oh, I was like, this is one place. It's like Liquid Light's one of the places I definitely want to go to. And then I looked and I was like, oh, they're closed. I think you were closing within like 10 minutes or something. And I was like, there's no way we're going to get there, order a drink and sit down with enough time to do anything. And I was like, oh no. And I was so gutted. But thankfully, Jo brought me beers back from when she was up there.
I got you.
I was like, yeah.
Well,
that's terrible project management.
Come in. Just drop us a message when you're on your way, and I'll get the snacks ready.
Honestly, I barely got to scratch the surface of Nottingham. I feel like there's a few places that people talk about when you ask for recommendations. We just came back from Sheffield. I feel like nobody really talks about how much amazing drinking there is in Sheffield. No one really talks about how much amazing drinking there is in Nottingham, unless somebody asks the question of, I'm going to Nottingham, what's there? And I just had no idea. I really underestimated it, and I thought, oh, I've got some recommendations, but surely I can hit all of them. But then places had so many good offerings that I was like, it's so difficult to just get a drink and move on. So definitely going to go back, and I'm going to crack this beer now, this Pink Moon, because you've really had me wanted to try it. I was going to stick with one, but I can't. I need to have another now.
I'm sad I didn't grab one for myself. I should have done.
You grabbed it for me, and I'm going to make you jealous.
I was really nice and got one for you.
Oh, and that colour as well it is pink. It is definitely pink.
Yeah.
So the idea behind way back when I got into beer. So I always used to very much be a Jack Daniels and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
That was my drink when I was like younger. That's that was all I would drink. And then one day I had Leafman's Fruities.
Yep.
And it just my brain was like, what? This is beer?
Yeah.
And it just kind of blew my mind, because I'm extremely sensitive to bitterness. Just my palate is just so sensitive to bitterness. So when I drank sort of bit, when I'd got a pint of, say, pale ale or IPA before, I'd always kind of gone, oh, like just it just, obviously, again, I know now that there is a large spectrum of different styles, and also bitterness varies greatly. But these particular beers that I had obviously just tickled my taste buds in the wrong way, and I just didn't get on with the beer that I'd had. So when I tried that, I was like, okay, so this is beer, but beer can taste like this. And I'd never for some reason my brain had just never gone, oh, there's a whole world of beer out there that you could explore.
Right.
No one had introduced me to it, and I grew up in a very small town that was very much, you have doom bars on the bar, or there's a bitter, there'll be a strong IPA, and there was no keg wasn't a thing, it was just cask. And there was just no variation to that, you know. So when I moved to Nottingham and I started going in all these pubs, and for example, so the Canal House, I don't know if you managed to go in when you were in Nottingham, but the Canal House is one of my favourite pubs in Nottingham.
I love the Canal House.
And they just have the most amazing selection of Belgian beers. And so when I started to go in there, and you know, then I started trying sort of Le Chouffe and all these different, you know, I had my first Creek in there and things like that. I was just like, oh my goodness, there is this mad world of beer. And so I really got into my fruit beers. And the only issue that I found with my fruit beers is that there wasn't anything that was not cloyingly sweet that was a lower ABV.
Yeah.
And that was what I wanted Pink Moon to be. So I wanted a fruit beer that I could drink, but that I wasn't going to get drunk off 2 pints on.
Yeah.
You know? So I kind of discussed it with Tom, and he was like, well, you know, like what do you want from it? And we sort of said, right, okay, well, I want it to be quite full-bodied. I want it to be super fruity. I want it to have that bit of sort of, you know, acidity in some way to cut through any sort of sweetness that there might be. But also I kind of want it to be like 4%.
Yeah.
And we were like, right, okay, well, let's try it then. And going back to the shed bit, so in the shed, we used to clear out Lidl of all their frozen raspberries.
Yes.
The people on the checkout used to look at us like we were mad. What are you buying all these raspberries for? Every time we got asked. And we just made a very simple wheat beer base, and we just shoved a load of raspberries in the fermenter. And, you know, this came out.
Yeah, I feel like that ticks, like literally as you were saying those things, I was like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
And it tastes so unique for a wheat beer. The smell is very raspberry. The taste is very raspberry puree. Like, and it has a bit of tartness to it that, like, I wouldn't, if you said here's a wheat beer, I wasn't expecting it to have like that tartness to it. It's really lovely. Like, it is really nice.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. And it's, you know, it's evolved massively over the years as well. But when one of the issues that we had very early on was it was coming out very thin. We couldn't get, because it is such a low ABV, we couldn't get that mouthfeel from it. And I've always as well, it's important to us that all our beers are vegan. So I don't like adding loads of adjuncts into things. I think that you can do a lot with sort of slightly nifty techniques, and also just by adding natural ingredients. So as it's evolved throughout the years, we actually add a bit of maltodextrin into Pink Moon, which increases the body, you know, increases those sugars, because of the unfermentable sugars in it. It means that you do have that body in it. And a lot of people, what's nice now is that a lot of people say to us, I would never think it's 4%.
Doesn't taste 4%.
No, which I think is a great compliment, because in my mind that means we've cracked it, you know, it's how it should be.
Yeah, it has like that medium mouthfeel to it, you know. It's not thin, it's not like watery or anything like that, and it very much, like, it doesn't taste like 4%. I'm not saying that all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's, you know, when you have a double IPA and it tastes like you've got pure spirit in it. It's just so full of flavor, and it doesn't really taste 4%. It tastes just like, I don't know, anything that's like maybe like the 6% range almost even. And it's really smooth. It's really nice.
It's actually, so we when we put it on in the tap room, when we opened the tap room, we got all these people in who'd never heard of us. And they kind of stumbled across the tap room because luckily we're right near a music practice space.
Nice.
So we've had quite a few bands coming in, like, oh, like, this is a cool vibe, you know, I'm going to try beer, but usually I only drink lager and that kind of thing. And we've got so many of them on Pink Moon, and it's just brilliant to see. I just love it, because like these bands will come in and I'll be like, right, 6 pints of Pink Moon, and they're like, yeah, sound, and they'll sit in there all night and they'll drink Pink Moon. And for me personally, that is like such a triumph, because that's what I wanted that beer to be, not just for, you know, for myself, but the fact that other people are now enjoying it to that extent is like, yeah, great.
Yeah, I'd love to try that fresh off tap. I bet it'll be even more amazing. I did have, so one of the places that I did go, and I don't remember the name of it at the moment, but one of the places I did go had your watermelon Berliner Weiss.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I was literally, I had it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was just, I was like, there's watermelon. I like to go for things that I see that are a bit different, that I haven't tried before, that are a bit different, like as different as I can get will be something that I would definitely try. And like watermelon, you don't see a lot of people putting watermelon in things. And especially when I see like watermelon and Berliner Weiss, like those to me don't seem like things you'd normally pair together. And it was amazing. I was just like, this is so good. I think I messaged you, Joe, and I was like, I said I couldn't get into Liquid Light, but I did try off a tap at one of the places I went to, and I was like, it was stunning. It was so good. So how you've managed to do that, like balance it out so it's not too tart, it's not too acidic. I mean, I feel like you've done it with this as well. It's not, too much. It's just the right amount. It's very well balanced.
Well, that one, we actually, so we hand juiced.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you've seen them. I hadn't seen them until we started brewing, but black watermelons.
Oh.
So the outside of them it's quite a lot darker than your traditional watermelon, and inside it's like dark pink, fleshy, which is like where the color comes from. Because when I'm pouring it in the tap room, I know a lot of people, they think of watermelon and they think of kind of like a light dusky pink.
Yeah.
And then they see it and they're like, is this the right one that you're pouring me? Because it has like a kind of almost like a red rose kind of hue to it. And that's because it's actually black watermelons. Oh. And we found, we did that recipe a few times when we were home brewing, and we found that it's really difficult to, and again, it comes back to this natural flavors thing. It's super difficult we found to extract watermelon flavor from like standard watermelons, because it is such a delicate fruit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the draw of it for us with a Berliner Weiss. It is that delicate fruit, and we kind of were like, well, we're not really getting enough fruit character. So again, it was that thing of, well, we don't want to use flavorings. We always want to steer away from that. So, okay, is there any other sorts of watermelons? And that's a credit to Tom, because that's the sort of things, that's kind of how his brain works. That's the sort of things I would never think to look.
Yeah.
More. Yeah. But yeah, so that's quite an unusual one, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, I mean, I guess kind of, because as I said, I didn't get to your tap room, Joe did, which kind of leads us on to the next bit of like how you guys connected. I don't know, I'll hand it over to you two to kind of say how you connected, because that will lead us lovely into our next sort of.
Yeah, so I came up, well, first of all, I had seen that you had opened a tap room and was like, I need to go up to Nottingham and try out their tap room. And then I saw that you had an event on for Nottingham Craft Beer Week called Smash the Pintriarchy. I got my little sticker, which, as a woman in the beer community, was very exciting to me, and we connected there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how Smash the Pintriarchy came about and why we had it?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few years ago, I attended, before I properly got into beer, I attended a panel discussion with Jager at a pub called Bunkers Hill in Nottingham, and it really like had a lasting impact on me. It was kind of the first opportunity that I had where I came away from it and I was like, yes, like I have allies in this industry, because unfortunately, particularly in the brewing scene in Nottingham, there isn't many women, and it kind of, it felt a little bit lonely over there.
Yeah, imagine.
And it was the first event where I felt, yes, like these are problems that, yes, I've experienced and people are talking about them, and that's brilliant. And so, roll on a few years and properly got into the industry, and I opened my own brewery and experienced, way more things about the the not so nice side of the industry, and also having worked behind a bar previously and those sorts of things, I was like, it's about time that something else happened in Nottingham that stood up for this and made people talk about the issues that are going on, that often people are kind of not ignoring, not brushing under the carpet, but they're there, but no one's really talking about it. So I was kind of thinking about what I could do, and I came up with like, yeah, smash the patriarchy, and then I was like, smash the Pintriarchy.
It's a brilliant name.
But then I frantically Googled it because I was like, oh God, like, have I heard that before? Like, I was really worried that I'd stolen someone's idea. And so I was frantically Googling it and I couldn't find anything. So I was like, I think it might be original. Okay, let's call it that. So the idea behind the event was basically just to bring something to Nottingham that talked about the issues, that raised awareness of things that were going on, and again created that sense of solidarity that I'd experienced a few years previously. I wanted to tie it in with Nottingham Craft Beer Week because, again, I feel like women are really underrepresented in Nottingham Craft Beer Week and always have been. So I wanted to kind of do this is this event, Smash the Pintriarchy, and like, I've opened a new tap room and basically just like a bull in a china shop, just kind of do something big. I have to say, like, when I arranged it and when I asked the amazing people that were on the panel to be there, I honestly thought, if we can get 20 people, I'm going to be well happy. I was just like, that'll be brilliant. We'll have a nice group. And then like 100 people turned up.
It was heaving. It was so good.
And I'm like, I can't believe still that people came from all over the country as well. Like, Joanne, when you turned up, I was like, it's Joanne. Like, oh no, I've seen her on Instagram. Like,
and I was like, it's Grace. There's Grace.
And other people as well were turning up, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like what? You're here for this? Like, this is great. And it kind of as well, it was just really comforting because even before the event started, I was like, this is going to be amazing. Just because of the show of people that were arriving, I was just like, this is going to be brilliant. And it kind of, it completely blew my expectations. Of the event was just brilliant. And alongside the event, I also I wanted to do something that kind of cemented the idea of Smash the Pintriarchy and that could continue and do some good. And so I started the zine as well, which I launched at the event, with sort of the idea that local places would stock the zine, and therefore if you were a woman and you walked into a pub and you saw that the zine was there, you'd go, okay, like, this is a safe space for me to be in, and this is a place where I can feel comfortable, and that was kind of the concept behind it.
Love it. I think
that's pretty cool.
It's so great.
Yeah, I guess like my thing is, so if I'm not up in Nottingham, like, do you do any like digital copies of it at all, or is that kind of the idea around it more for it to be physical, so you know kind of where to look, or is there any plans for it to go digital?
So with the first issue, the first issue was very kind of DIY and was very much me being like, okay, I've got this idea, like, I'm gonna roll with it, and then basically set like a foundation. So in the first issue, there was quite a few, there was a couple of pages where I left them blank on purpose, and it was this is your space. Like, this zine is going to be for everyone. So yes, I'm going to mash it all together, but the idea behind it is that it is for everyone to contribute, and that it's going to be like a community thing, and that anyone that kind of identifies out of the norm, or any sort of marginalized people within the beer industry can have that as an opportunity to go, okay, so this is an issue I've experienced, or this is a piece of artwork that I've done that's reflected an experience that I've had, or something like that. So the first issue, when I know that Marianne of Time at the Bar podcast, she took a lot down to Bristol with her, and it's been distributed in Bristol. And then also some of it's been distributed to my friends in Manchester. as well.
Nice.
So with the first issue, because it was so DIY, I kind of just used my friend network to kind of, you know, send it into a few places that I've drank in and that I know are amazing places to be. But the idea with it going forwards is that anyone that wants to stock it, or anywhere that you know, thinks that it could be of benefit as well, would contact me. On the back page, I'm always going to have my email address so that anyone can write to me. And yeah, the idea is that it's stocked kind of as far and wide as people have it, really.
Yeah, I would love to like push people around me to sort of get it into their locations, because like I can think of a few places that would probably, like I'd be able to go in and say like you should really get this, but because I would love to be able to read it. Obviously I'm not up in Nottingham, so it's not like I can just go and pick up a copy. So would love to encourage the places that I know that I feel safe and comfortable, and that's the type of environment they promote, and I think those type of places would be on board with doing that. So I think if, you know, anyone's listening to this and wants to read it themselves and has their spaces where they feel comfortable, they should go in and encourage, you know, the people they know within that space to reach out to you and to try to get copies of it in, you know, going forward.
I've got an email address, which is smashthepintriarchy@hotmail.com. The plans for going forwards are, so the next issue is planned to be released towards the end of November. So I've also just set up, because of everything else that's been going on, I've been really lax with it, but I've also just set up an Instagram as well, so you can now follow Smash the Pintriarchy on Instagram. And the idea behind that is that I'm going to try and use that as just a platform for people to be able to send things to me, sort of a more accessible platform.
Yeah.
People just, you know, I'll put a post out saying open for submissions now, and then people can send stuff to me. But yeah, it is very much, I really do want it to be, you know, the people. Like I just want anyone and everyone that would like to contribute to contact me, because it's about sharing experience, and it's about educating people on these things are happening, and also, you know, also things like, what's the definition of harassment? You know,
absolutely.
Because a lot of, and when I look back to being younger, and even not very long ago, and even now still, I'm still learning, you know, and I still have experiences where afterwards I think, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say something? And you know, I kick myself, because I'm like, that's just not on. But at the time you think, oh well, you know, is that just me? Did I take it the wrong way? Is that? And actually, I think that it's really important that people have something that they can read and go, no. Like, even if it's just, you know, a comment, or even if it's just a facial expression, or even, you know, if it's something on social media, like those things can still be harmful, and those things can still be classed as harassment. And I think it's really important that we all band together and say, these are our experiences, and let's all learn from them together. And that's kind of like the main thing that I want from the zine, and I want others to get from the zine as well.
I was gonna say, I think there's that validation piece that some people feel like, you know, like you said, they can brush it off. Or it's just, you know, I'm overreacting, or I took it the wrong way, or anything else like that. And when you have something that could maybe offer reassurance, or that you don't need validation, but I think for some people, having the validation can make them feel more comfortable and confident. And that sounds like it could almost act as that piece of validation for them. But like, what kind of content can people expect when they sort of flip through your zine, or if they want to submit, what type of content is it that you take submissions for?
So it's honestly, it's pretty much anything and everything. So the first issue of the zine, I'd really like each issue to have space for stories specifically. So in the first issue, I literally left a page blank and just put claim your space, like this is your space, and I put my email address, because I think that that's a really key part of the whole message behind it is sharing stories. So if anyone's got any stories that they specifically want to share, it can be anonymously, it can be, you know, there's no pressure on it, on you putting your name or anything like that. Then I'd really like space for that. But apart from that, in the last issue we had a piece of artwork, You know, there was an interview with Nicola Bottomley, who came and was on the panel for Smash the Pintriarchy. And I've had a poem submission for the next issue already. I've had a piece of artwork, and honestly, it's honestly anything that people feel appropriate. You know, if you've had an experience that has affected you, and you know, you do whatever, you take a photo, or you do a piece of art, or you write about it, anything like that, we'll put into the zine, because that's what it's about.
Amazing. I love it. I'm thinking about things that I want to do.
I know. I'm like, what's your word count? Roughly, what's your word count for just in case people want to know?
Asking for a friend.
And the two kind of staple things that I want is, as I say, the sharing of stories, and with each issue as well, my kind of input into it is that I will do an interview with someone each issue. And I'm really keen as well on that, representing a lot of different sort of areas of society, and also different people's perspective, because I had a couple of comments when I did Smash the Pintriarchy, and they were like, oh well, it's a man-hating event. And I was like, no, it's absolutely not that. It's like, you've got the wrong end of the stick there. It's absolutely not that. It's about not just, you know, it's about not being against anyone. It's about educating, and also it's about representing the LGBTQ community. It's about we've got a regular that comes into the tap room who's this amazing woman that is in a wheelchair, and it's about representing people with different accessibility needs. It's about, like I said earlier, it's about representing anyone that sort of falls outside the norm, and it's about providing a space for them to contribute, and for, you know, so if you're reading it and you could go, oh well, I've never thought of that perspective before, and from doing that, hopefully we all learn something, you know, and it helps all of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's leveling the playing field for it's not about taking somebody else down, it's about building other people up to level the playing field, really, for everyone. And I would hazard a guess that those people that told you it was a man-hating event were people that probably weren't actively participating in the conversations leading up to it, and probably maybe didn't do as much research into what it actually was, just took snippets from what they saw places, and probably didn't attend themselves to find out that's what it was. Because that actually leads me on to the next thing I was going to say, which is, you know, Jo, I know you went with Gordon, you went with your husband, and I don't know if you have anything else you can share from that, but I know from the conversations I had with you and Gordon, it didn't sound like he felt out of place.
No, I mean,
or uncomfortable in that
he
sense.
said to me before we were going, he was like, oh, is this going to be like a women's event? Should I not come to it? And I was like, don't be ridiculous. Like, come along. It'll just be, you know, everybody. And like, he sat there, he had a lovely time chatting to people, had himself some beers, and he was just like, this was really nice. Like, this was really lovely. And I was like, see, this is the kind of atmosphere and safe space that we want to create everywhere. Like, yeah, he had a great time. He then came out with 5 very happy feminists who were buoyed by the event, and and we may have done some chalking afterwards.
No, that's great. And it's surprising, honestly, how many people contacted me beforehand and said, oh, is it a women only event? And I was like, no,
like,
bring everyone you know.
Bring all the people.
Well, actually, I think you all agree, right? It was actually a really good split of people.
Yeah.
It was a really good mix of people, and that as well. Like, I was just like, yes, people get it. This is what it's for, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased at the group of people that came as well, and with the release of the next edition of the zine, hopefully at the end of November. I am planning on doing another event as well, so yeah, watch out for that as well.
Amazing.
I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I know it's hopefully going to be along the same lines. So
amazing. Are you thinking of having like events in other parts of the country? Because Marion might have said something to us about.
I don't know if she said that on the pod.
I don't know. Did she say that on the? I don't think she did. I think that's a secret. Hush, hush. We may have insider information.
So yeah,
sorry, Matt.
I've been in talks with Marianne about we would like to do a Bristol sort of event, Whether it'll happen this side of Christmas, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. That's absolutely definitely going to happen, if not, probably next year. And also I've got a really good group of friends in Manchester as well, and obviously the beer scene there is amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's also talks have been in the pipeline there as well. So it's absolutely something that I'd love to get as many people involved as possible in. And yeah, if we could go to other cities and meet new people and spread the word and spread the love, then absolutely.
That's the thing, is I know there's so many different places that, like, I know somebody that would be super into the idea. I know, like, Charlotte at Phantom, and I've got a feeling like you could probably contact her about doing something. I'm just outside Reading. You could probably contact her to help do that. Like, I'd help get the wheels in, like, I'd help organize things. I'm close enough by, like, I can go to Bristol, I can help with stuff like that in that area. I'm sure that when you build this network, the people that you come in contact with, like, those people will want to see it happen so badly that they will volunteer their time and their skill sets to try to help you make sure it will happen as well. So, I mean, did you ever think when you started?
No, that's so nice as well. I'm just like, I'm so glad that it's not, because when you get in your own head about things and you think, is anyone going to turn up? And then you're like, no, obviously, like, this is what it's about.
It's imposter syndrome. That's what we talk about.
We're still amazed that people listen to the podcast. Like, we're just genuinely keep recording.
We went to Sheffield recently. I don't want to date it, so I'll just say recently, so I don't date this too much. And we were, like, out for drinks after, and, like, someone came up. We brewed a beer with Heist. It's on the socials now, so we can kind of say that. And like, people saw us out after, and they were like, we saw you at Heist earlier, and they were like, oh, like, which brewery do you work for? We're like, we don't. And they were like, oh my god, and they were so friendly, and they were so just like, and I was like, I can't believe people want to like people, like, if you want to come have a drink with us, you can. I was like, why do people want to have a drink with me? Like, I didn't do anything.
Like, we can't wait to try your beer. We were like, oh, this is really exciting.
It was just that, like, and then I think, like, someone tried to come in one side of the bar, and they were like, someone else, like, oh, this is the brewers in here, and I was like, no, it's not. Like, what are you? I'm in here. Like, hold on. And it's just that imposter syndrome that I think you just, I don't know if you ever really, like, move. I think you move past it enough where it's not like a roadblock for you anymore. But I don't know if anyone really sort of, like, when you are humbled, like, I don't think you ever really move past that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with that one. Yeah.
You could accomplish all the things, but I think there'll still be times that you're just like, oh, am I really qualified to do this? I don't know. So it's always like, it's really nice to have that validation that it's that people are loving it. And I think, like, what you're doing is absolutely brilliant. Like, did you ever think when you were doing this that it was going to become as big as it did? Is that the plans that you wanted for it, or did you just think, like, it will be a small local thing? And
honestly, I did just, when I say, like, 20 people and I'd have been happy, that was genuinely, like, 20 people, there'll be a nice little group, and it won't look empty. But yeah, so for it to become such a thing, and I think with me, it's funny because, like you say, I have this kind of, like, weird imposter syndrome type thing, and I'm just like, oh no, but then I go, oh yeah, like, I can do this, and I'll just put out a zine, and I'll just do this event, and I kind of like throw things in the wind, and then I've said them, I'm like, oh, I better do it now. Like, and it's not just after a few beers, I will I'll do that. But I say these things to Tom, and he's just like, okay, yeah, like, one of my new harebrained ideas, and then I'm like, oh well, I've said it out loud now, so I'm gonna do it. And
I've got to do it.
People have reacted really well to it, and now I honestly would like to make it a national thing, and I would invite anyone that listens to this to get involved and to contact me and see what we can do. It's ultimately, things like this are only going to benefit everyone, and I do mean everyone when I say that. Like we've said previously, people thinking, oh no, these are just women only events, etc. They're really not. it's really about educating everyone, and like Joanne said, creating that safe space that everyone should be able to enjoy beer.
Yeah,
everyone should be able to drink whatever they want without judgment, and everyone should be able to work or be in an industry where you don't have to worry about harassment. You don't have to worry about going into a pub and getting comments about things. And that ultimately is what this is all about. It's about trying to change that for the better. And I feel like I could have said that in a lot better way, but
no, I think that was perfect. That was perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's what we are all about here at A Woman's Brew, doing all of the things. So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about Liquid Light or Smash the Pintriarchy and your other any other plans?
No, not really. I mean, honestly, it is a genuine, contact me.
Yeah.
Everyone contact me.
We'll put the email in the show notes. We'll put the Instagram handle in there as well. I'll go find that. We'll put that all in there.
Yeah.
Everyone can send you everything.
And like, no idea is a silly idea. When I wanted to do the panel discussion, it was quite a strict sort of format. It was quite a tailored evening to that, but I'd also absolutely just love to do like a big party, like a big Smash the Pintriarchy party where it's just an opportunity for like-minded people to have a drink together, and I think that things like that are also really beneficial because, like I said about that event I went to years ago, it creates that sort of that camaraderie, and it creates that solidarity, and I think that as well as sort of campaigning and educating people as well, I think it's so important for us all to feel that solidarity and to feel part of that group as well. So honestly, like any ideas that anyone has, whether it's just things like whether it's beer tastings, whether it's a party, whether it is something more formal like a talk on something, or a panel discussion, hit me up and we'll have a chat about it.
I've got an idea, but it's gonna
Here she goes.
but it's probably a lot more involved and time consuming. You should have a Smash the Pintriarchy beer festival where you have all these different like female like breweries that have like women heavily involved in like owning and brewing, that has people of LGBTQ that get involved, people that represent like people minorities. Like I think that would be a really cool event to be a part of and to go to. I just think that would be really cool.
Watch this space.
Ooh.
Next summer, yeah, that has been something which has been kind of in the back of my mind, and I think that
there you go, you're validated now. I've validated you.
It's out in the open now. It's happening next summer, June 20th.
You said it out loud. You've said it out loud. It has to happen.
It has to happen.
No, I think that I had thought because also the idea of kind of having a lot of like female-led like street food and snacks, as I've said before.
Love a beer snack.
Things like that as well, and make it, like you say, a proper big sort of celebration, an opportunity for everyone to be represented. I'm just imagining, a nice sunny day in summer, beer flowing, lots of lovely people, maybe a band or two on.
Yes. No, exactly.
Amazing.
You could have like the different stages, like you could have like a stage or different stages, whatever. I mean, like we've got this amazing, like these two women that own this Malaysian food company called Maca Malaysian, and they go to some of the breweries already around with their food, and like it is so good. I hadn't even thought about the idea of like having, women and minorities and all that, like their food vendors being there like as well. That would be absolutely brilliant. I would definitely make a trip back up for that. 100%. You said it out loud, so you got to do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to hold it to you, but you said it.
Well, we'll get what is it now? October. We've got plenty of time.
Yeah, this time.
I'll literally, I'll commit
Hit us
now,
up.
like free
We will
time.
help.
I will
Yeah.
help you.
We will help.
I will help with the planning.
And that's been recorded. So
That's been recorded. It's
Being
been
recorded.
published,
I've pledged my time.
You need
100%,
beer tastings hosted from your girl.
I don't really have like the same set of skills, but like I can
You've been
organize. I'm a
pouring
project
beer like
manager. Like,
nobody's
I
business.
can pour beer. I'm good at that, and I can project manage stuff. So
There we go.
we got this.
Skills.
We've already got the dream team. So
Done.
Definitely.
no, absolutely. That's well, we're doing it now. So go
Done.
team.
Done.
Committed. Last question from me, anyways. I don't know, Joe, you might have more questions, but like, if you could envision where either Smash the Pintriarchy or the brewery itself are in, you know, a year's time, like where would you like to see yourselves evolve to in a year's time?
So I think for us, definitely with the new kit and with the new brewery, it's there's so many things that we've always wanted to do in terms of beer styles that we've not been able to before now. So I briefly mentioned earlier that we've just done our first lager. So we've done a Hellers, which has been in tank for 8 weeks.
Nice.
And it came out last weekend, and we've had such good feedback on it, and we're really proud of that beer. And it's definitely, so beer styles and looking into new beer styles and pushing our knowledge and our abilities is something that I think in a year's time, like, I'm excited to see what we'll have done, you know, because that's something that like we're really passionate about and that we really want to do. So that's going to be a big one for us. Also in terms of sort of like beer packaging, I know it sounds silly to a lot of people and to a lot of bigger breweries, but we didn't have beer in cans for quite some time because we just weren't producing enough. You know, people go, oh, well, why haven't you got cans? And you're like, well, you know, there's a lot that goes into canning beer that we don't necessarily realise. And we were always brewing too little to can. And even when we were brewing enough, it was that thing of, well, where we couldn't get a mobile canning line in, so we had to send our beer away, and there's kind of all the anxiety that comes with that, and you know, is the DO okay, and is it, you know, what's going to happen to it, and things like that. So we didn't have beer in cans for a long time, and so we've just now got 4 different cans, which is the most cans we've ever had since we were a brewery, and for us, like, that's a massive achievement to have 4 different beers in can. So again, in the next year, definitely like exploring different packaging options and getting more stuff out there in can is definitely something that we want to do. I mean, in terms of Smash the Pintriarchy, there'll be a beer festival.
You said so
because we've just made it so
manifested it. I mean, the plan, the kind of, in my mind, the brief outline of it was, well, if we aim to kind of do maybe like 4-5 issues a year, then, you know, one every kind of 3 months seems doable, and seems, you know, it seems like with each issue, I'm hoping that it will just gain momentum, and with each issue, I'd love to do an event to launch it and to bring it to a new audience. So that's kind of on the card. So with Smash the Pintriarchy, it's definitely like get more people involved, get more people, you know, doing these things, get involved in these activities, learning about different perspectives, and campaigning for equality in the industry, and that's hopefully will happen.
That sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna will it to happen, it's definitely gonna be you. Like, I feel like what you're doing is all the right stuff. So if anyone's gonna make it happen, it's definitely gonna be you.
All right, well, I think that's all of our questions.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you so much for coming on. It has been delightful.
Yeah, it's been nice to have a drink over the internet again. I know. Like, I feel like I've just been, you know, getting up, go to the brewery, get home again, and not really seeing many different people at the minute. So yeah, it's been nice to kind of properly chat to you.
Oh, amazing. Anytime, let us know, and we'll, you know, we do Zooms all the time. We do
Monday,
yeah, every Monday. That's it, every Monday, done. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We can highly recommend your beer to anybody. Go and grab their beers, and keep your eyes out for the next issue of Smash the Pintriarchy. And thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.
Anytime.
That I really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, it was really good.
I
Really
think
good.
much like some of the other people that we have spoken to on the podcast, Grace and Liquid Light and the Smash the Pintriarchy zine that she's working on, like it all kind of aligns with the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
I am 100% ready to work on Smash the Pintriarchy, the beer fest.
Oh, definitely. Like
Ready.
I mean, it's no secret that like, I've helped out at Mini Beer Fest now over this last year. And I've really enjoyed that. And I would love to be able to use like my project management skills within the beer industry. So not just serving pints, but doing because what I love about my job is I love like the coordinating and the sort of stakeholder management and all that. So I would love to be able to do that like within the beer scene. So I am more than willing to give my time to help with any events, especially something as good as like what this could potentially be. So I mean, she said it out loud now, it has to happen. I'm willing to do anything from like moving things from point A to point B to helping her however she needs. So anything I could do to get their cause out there, got my time. So
let's do it. We talked about the fantastic label art. We didn't talk about their amazing t-shirts.
No, I didn't even realize.
For those that are listening, they do these lovely tie-dyed t-shirts, so they're quite similar to the Liquid Light images, but they do them in different color sets. So this one that I am wearing is kind of pastel shades. There was like ones that were different blues and ones that were in different shades of green, and it was just, they are great.
I love it. I wonder if I wish we talked about them, because I wonder if they like tie-dye them themselves or if they get somebody out, if they buy them pre-tie-dyed. Well, I didn't know to ask that because I didn't even realize
I didn't
the screen was blocking the fact that I almost thought it was your Coven Brewster's one. You've been getting a lot of tie-dyed shirts. So
I've got
lately.
3. I mean, I'm
We've
like
made the Vault City together.
Right, I've got 3 now because I've got my Vault City, I've got my Liquid Light, and I've got my Coven Brewster's one.
And I'm really jealous of all of them. Like, so I've got the Vault City one. I'm happy with my Vault City one, like for sure. But I was so jealous of your Coven Brewster's one, and I'm jealous of that because those colors are amazing.
I know, it's so good. Well, next time you can project manage your trip better and actually get to Liquid Light when it's open, and then you can buy a t-shirt.
Wow. Yeah, who would have even guessed that 2 project managers couldn't even coordinate a piss up in a brewery? Like quite literally 2 project managers failed to be able to make it through even 50% of the list that we had.
You were on a very tight time scale.
We were. I mean, as always, as I always do it,
don't jam it all in.
Yeah, but also I think my project management, I do it so like day-to-day job. When I get home at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, no, it's what, like, oh, some people take holidays to like get away from that, it's to escape the day-to-day life. I'm just going to claim that, like, because I project manage all the time, like I was on holiday. So basically planning went completely out the window.
I love it. So if people would like to talk to you about your project management skills, where can they get hold of you, Tori Pell?
I mean, I like to think I genuinely do a decent job of project managing when I have to.
She is a good project manager.
If you want to rent out my skills that I've obviously really demonstrated I'm good at, you can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. And I posted a new blog post.
You did?
Not that long ago, not to date things. I'm just going to say not that long ago. I put that out there and it was on a place. It was Brew Monster in Cardiff, and I'm in the process of writing something up for Sheffield, our trip to Sheffield. So hopefully that goes out less than a month after we've been there, because project management. But the link for that is for the overall blog is in my bio on Instagram. So Joe, if people want to talk to you about tie-dye t-shirts and your tie-dye t-shirt growing addiction, where can they find you?
If you would like to recommend some more places that I can get tie-dyed brewery t-shirts, you can find me. I'm a woman's brew on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I tend to hang out on Instagram. But if you'd like to come and talk beer and learn about beer, you can do that at my beer school, which is Love Beer Learning, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and Pinterest. Although my Pinterest scheduler is having a funny 5 minutes and won't post anything. So I'm working on that. But however, There is also a website, which is probably the best place to come and find all of the good stuff. That is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. And if you would like to tell us about places you want us to go, places you'd like us to review, people you want us to talk to, tell us about beers that we should be drinking or places we should be visiting to drink beer.
Yeah, hold me accountable.
Yeah.
If you tell me I've got to write about something,
Yeah.
I then become more accountable.
She will put it on her blog. You can do that at our email address, which is lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to hear about on the podcast, because we love doing an episode that is inspired by your requests.
And I've used the Nottingham glass today.
That's Gordon's one. He said
Gordon's one. Thank you, Gordon.
He doesn't listen to this. On that note, everybody.
Anyways, on that note, have a lovely evening. Go enjoy your spoopy moon. Cheers.
Cheers.